Hello everyone, and welcome back for another RGB RPG's DM prep guide. Today we're going to be taking a look at Candlekeep Mysteries, and as always there will be a lot of spoilers ahead, so if you plan on being a player in this game, go ahead and click away. But if you're a DM who wants to take a look at how another DM might prep for some of these sessions, go ahead and stick around and check out this series. So, we're going to be looking at session 10 of our Candlekeep Mysteries game today, and it's going to be a pretty interesting one. We are going to get the chance to really dive into one of our characters' backstories for the first time. Really get a chance for them to open up as a character so we can learn more about them and then potentially dive into their character even deeper down the line. But we're going to start off. We're going to go down our checklist here, review the characters, of course. Every time I start the game, I like to go over and read through all of this. Today we're going to take an especially close look at Alistair, and Rigel is actually going to be likely to come into his own pretty soon here, looking into his origins and how he arrived at Candlekeep. Kind of going to prompt... It's going to be one of those shared narrative moments where I'm going to introduce somebody who knew Rigel when they were just a little tiny baby dragon that was left at the Candlekeep and see what Rigel has been up to since then. Give Rigel a chance to talk about what he believes his character would have been doing in the time between when he was dropped off as a baby and now. We do that by introducing one of the NPCs they meet later, who was at the gates when Rigel arrived, but has been kind of cloistered away in a basement part of the castle since then. Doesn't really emerge much and so hasn't seen Rigel since. But I digress. We are going to be spending the good portion of the first section in Alistair's backstory and in Alistair's story. But that does come after, of course, our session introduction, which is the players looting the horde of the young black dragon that they just defeated. Last session, they had fought this black dragon after liberating the Chalet Brantifax of its malevolent presence and closing the Shadow Gate there. They then went and confronted that dragon that they had left behind previously with their new friend Kendrick Oso. But once they had defeated the dragon, Kendrick Oso's associates, I put in air quotes, had arrived, and they were going to arrive early to try and ambush Kendrick and take the dragon horde for themselves. But then they found the group there in a weakened state after fighting that dragon, and they decided to use that as an opportunity to take out the party, take out Kendrick, claim the treasure for themselves. It did not work out too great for them. Great fight at the end of that session there. Check that one out. It is session 9 of our Candlekeep Mysteries game for more details on how that happened. But after that, they get to loot the Horde of the Young Dragon, and then make their way back to Silvery Moon, where we really get to start diving into some NPC interaction, some roleplay interaction. Aristina Silverhand. For those of you that don't remember, Aristina is a daughter of Illustrial Silverhand, one of the descendants, and she has met Dristo Erden, adventured with him for quite a while, and she is not a full-blown member of the Harpers, but she works with them from time to time. More of a free agent that does what she thinks is right. But also I get a chance to talk to her and learn more about the Drow, about his heritage, where he came from, namely the city of Menzo Baranzan, to which Aristina has been to a few times. So Aristina will be in the city when they arrive. She's been waiting for them, heard that somebody was looking for them, and heard what they had gone out to do, and decided they at least deserve some of my time. So Aristina will be there waiting, and she has a lot of information for Alistair. And then after that, the players can really hang out in Silver Moon as much as they want to. I tried to establish it as a second depository of knowledge on the Sword Coast. But I'm really going to drive that home this time. Kind of thing where if you can't find out about it in Candlekeep, you can find out about it here in Silvery Moon. So, we'll get a chance to check out the archives, the libraries, talk to various sages. Some of them have been alive for almost 1,000 years. These are people that have been around and have seen things. And so questions that the players want to ask about their backstories, Silvery Moon is the place to do it. If they can't find information about it at Candlekeep, this will be the only other place that would be likely to have that kind of information. So I'm going to give them all a chance to explore their own backstories and find out things that they want to know, and kind of use it as an opportunity, now that they've been playing these characters for a while, to revisit what is your character's motivation? What are they trying to do? What is their end goal with their time at Candlekeep? And by asking them, what do you research? What are you going to go and look into? That's how we get them to open up about those kind of things, and how we get them to think about that for themselves, and then hint it to me what kind of things I should be looking at for the future. So when the group is ready to return back to Candlekeep, they are escorted to the teleportation circles. They are bid farewell from their guide and from Aristina, and they are sent back. When they arrive, we get to reintroduce Kravis Unwilm again. And Kravis is an interesting character in this. I don't even know if he's a good guy or a bad guy yet. We are going to figure that out as the story unfolds. But the party very much has labeled him as Sirius Snape from Harry Potter. And it makes sense, the way that I was describing him. I was kind of envisioning him as a cross between Snape and Quirrell. And they're leaning into the Snape. And so I'm going to lean back at the Quirrell and kind of try to subvert their expectations of the guy a little bit. But that being said, I don't even know if he's a good guy or a bad guy yet. I don't even know what he's truly up to. I'm letting that kind of develop, and I have a few basic ideas, but I'm not going to share them here yet. So, Kravis will be present at the circle, bidding farewell to a group of mages cowled in black robes. It'll be kind of one of those situations where they appear, and then Kravis is kind of giving a final wave to several figures in black robes as they teleport somewhere else. Kravis will, of course, find it far beneath him to explain what he's doing to the players, and so they're likely going to be an argument, probably some checks thrown around, where they're going to try to get some information out of Kravis. But those people that were heading out are relatively innocuous. They're heading to the Sea of Fallen Stars. They are spies going to try to infiltrate the Red Wizards of the Thay, and their organization. Kravis is their handler from Candlekeep. But the players don't know that, and Kravis is not going to tell them that willingly, obviously. And if he presses too hard, he's going to threaten to get the higher-ups involved and let them know why he can't explain it to them. And if the thing starts to press a little bit too hard, Sprig's going to show up, and Sprig is just the immediate diffuser of hostile situations. I mean, how can you be mad when there's an adorable little halfling offering you a cookie there? But so Sprig's going to interrupt the conversation or arrive just as Kravis is leaving. One of the two things. But Sprig is going to arrive with very specific instructions to get the group and take them to Firefly Cellar immediately. London Flattergast has requested that she catch them as soon as they get back and send them down there. There is urgent matters for them to take care of down there. No chance for a rest. If you need to rest, you can rest in the cellar, so on and so forth. So Sprig is going to come and let them know that. Flattergast is very proud of them, that he's very impressed with their accomplishments so far, and he has a job that they need to be involved in. And Sprig takes them to Firefly Cellar and lets them know that that job is rebinding books and helping with the renovation of the cellar. So obviously it seems a little bit beneath them, and there may be some grumblings and things like that, but the importance of this mission will come out later. But that brings us into Shamshan's bedtime rhyme. There are 2 level 4 adventures for Candlekeep Mysteries. For whatever reason, they decided to do 2 level 4 adventures, and Shamshan's bedtime rhyme is one of them. The other one is A Deep and Creeping Darkness. After doing the Which Way and really leaning into fleshing out that map and everything, I think it's time to break away from the let's go to a creepy village full of creepy things and talk to creepy people. Decided to move away from that for a bit and bring them back to Candlekeep. And so we may or may not come back to A Deep and Creeping Darkness. We may just leave it off on the sidelines and skip over it. It really depends on how quickly they get through Shamshan's. If it only takes a session or 2 to get through Shamshan's, then we'll bring in A Deep and Creeping Darkness to keep them at level 4 for a bit longer, and before taking them on to the next one. But Shamshan's bedtime rhyme is the one that I chose to do for sure, and it is a fantastic adventure. The general premise of it is that there is a curse attached to one of the books down here in the cellar, and the book contains a rhyme, a lullaby, a bedtime song type thing. And when someone hears it, it becomes infectious. That person has to begin singing it or humming it or somehow always keep it. And then the next person that hears it also has to keep doing it. And it is just this, essentially an infectious song that can spread throughout the library. And the last time that it was seen was about 600 years ago. And yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. The entire thing is tied to this dark entity that's tied to the book. That is just this agent of chaos and destruction who is trying to become free of this book. And the way that it does it is it infects people with this song, and the more people know this song and the more often that they sing it, the more he becomes corporeal, the more able to enter our reality he becomes. So, really cool. But that's the Shamshan's bedtime rhyme, the basic rundown of that. But from when they first get to the Firefly Cellar, It is so named because most of the illumination comes from several lamps that are full of fireflies. Fireflies kind of drift around the place, falling down, um, floating around throughout the place, providing tiny little bits of illumination. But most of the light comes from these dim firefly lamps. So the place is kind of dimly lit for the most part. But when they arrive, we meet our first new NPC, Varnir, and she is 679 years old, an elf, and she was there when Rigel was dropped off. She was at the gates when that happened. She saw Rigel get brought in. Very rare for a gem dragonborn to be left anywhere like that. Very rare for them to be seen, but very much so to be left alone, unattended like that. So she'll say that she's met Rigel before, like I haven't seen you since you were yay big, types of things. What have you been up to? Which gives Rigel a chance to tell us what he's been doing and really kind of give him a chance to explore his own character. But yeah, and while they're doing that, some point when Varnir is out of earshot, a little girl will pass by, and she is the daughter of another one of the residents down here. We have an actual page for all of their cellar inhabitants. Exactly, this is great. I really like how Candlekeep gave us this. These are all of the people that are in the cellar, and that little girl is Galeby Smallstone, the daughter of Edbur Smallstone. Edbur is in the cellar doing renovations and assisting with repairs, repairing books, namely, and his daughter is there with him. So yeah, the other two inhabitants besides Varnir are Cthulhu, a Tabaxi traveler looking for lore and various informations, and then Crinkle, the keeper of the fireflies. Yeah, super interesting NPCs. Anyone planning to run this, I highly recommend going through all of these. The main NPCs we're likely to interact with today are just Varnir and possibly Ebdur and Galeby. But at some point when Varnir is out of earshot, Galeby will wander past whistling a little tune. That's at another point later on, preferably after the players have gone to bed and then woken up in the cellar. But if they do look like they're going to be leaving the cellar, then we'll suddenly have one of them whistling the tune. It's going to be one of those things where, hey, so-and-so, you've been whistling that tune for a little bit of a while now. Do you know where it came from? Or you find yourself unable to stop whistling this tune without making a conscious effort to stop. That kind of thing alone will draw the attention of the players and be like, oh. And of course, when Varnir hears that, she will recognize that tune because she was here the last time this tune infected Candlekeep, and she will be like, oh no, and immediately begin a lockdown protocol, calling all of the great readers and locking down the place with powerful magics immediately. And then that's when the players will find out that the Firefly Cellar is actually a place that they have stored books that they do not know the capabilities of and are possibly dangerous. So there is a full lockdown procedure that takes place, locking them all inside of the Firefly Cellar. And soon afterward, London Flattergast and Sulfur Rise, the players will get a chance to meet him, and he will basically make a wall transparent for them to see through and greet them all and say, hey, what a coincidence that you all just happened to be in here. Now that you're in there, why don't you all try and figure out if you can stop this whole curse thing from bothering Candlekeep again in the future too. And then he'll be out. So yeah. So I really like I based London Flattergast's character a lot on Dumbledore, but I'm also going to have him be much more direct about his willingness to put the party in danger. He'll come up and be like, he'll make it pretty obvious that he sent them to the Firefly Cellar because he knew something bad was about to happen there, and he wanted to see how the players would handle it. So, the players aren't children; they don't need to be treated like children, except for maybe Rigel, a little bit of a child. But yeah, so that's mostly what we have planned for the events of the session. I plan to make it into Firefly Cellar today, and if it seems like we're not going to get a chance to really get into the cellar, but we still have some time, I have a encounter planned from a few sessions ago. The dragon blood oozes in the courtyard, so that'll be interesting if we get around to that. But yeah, we have our NPCs. We have a few for this session that we want to keep track of, and I actually keep all of these. I keep all of my old prep videos, my old prep session notes. I just copy paste and then change what I need to change for the next session. So that way I have all of my NPCs hanging out whenever I need them. But Kendrick, obviously, if the players want. He could probably be convinced to come with them, although I don't see why they would. They have liked him, but not like that much. But he can be found in Waterdeep again whenever they feel like they might need to contact him, or if they find themselves in Neverwinter. He'll be in Neverwinter. And then Lilith will greet the party as soon as they arrive in Candlekeep. It's in Silverymoon, and she will escort them to where Aristina Silverhand is hanging out. We have Kravis. He is a master reader. He is one of the higher ups. Sprig herself is just a scribe. She's an adjutant, but she is just a scribe. And then we have Sprig and London. Those are our big NPCs that we're going to be dealing with for now. Dennis, the big old furball gardener, is somebody that can be popped in and out whenever necessary. Our notable locations are, of course, Candlekeep and Silverymoon. And I don't expect even close, unless for some reason they just don't seem like they're having an interesting time in Silverymoon and we go back to Candlekeep right away. They may end up having to go up against the Shadows. Shamshan is just there because I really need to analyze his stat block and figure out how to use him effectively, because he's a very interesting character. And then if we do decide that we want to throw in a random combat encounter, the Dragonblood Oozlings. Our items and rewards for this session. It's just going to be what they find in the Black Dragon Horde. The reward when they get back to Candlekeep is going to be a Goggles of Night, which will help Nathaniel not have to spend one of his infusions on making something like that. But they will get a Goggles of Night when they arrive. But I didn't really put that here because it's not that exciting. But the Dragon Horde remains. I don't even know what's going to be in there. So just a quick recap on that. We're going to do the DMG encounter table, DMG challenge horde 5 to 10. But we are only going to use the first half of that. So we have them roll a D100, and then we cut that in half, and that's the result on the DMG table that they get to pick from, that they're going to get to roll on and get money and mainly items. Now you'll see these. Some changes. Made some changes to the prep format. Now character specific and campaign long arc storylines are going to be down there in a place called the spoiler zone. So we won't be going any farther into that, but just know that we are starting to flesh out the campaign as a whole and really starting to get an idea of where we're going to go with this as a full narrative. And I don't want to give away too much for that for my players that are going to be watching this after their session is over, but I'm taking a bit of a unique approach to it, a very character-driven approach, where their backstories are going to be the overarching story that we're telling. So again, I don't want to go into too much detail on that because I don't want to give out any spoilers, but I'm taking a different approach than what I was originally thinking about. And I'm really going to try to let the characters' stories be at the center of this, and the things in the Candlekeep mysteries are the things that happen in between, the things that lead them to these revelations and discoveries for their own characters. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be nice. So that's what we got. Again, remember that you can find these on YouTube 1 month after they're available to my patrons. If you would like to check these out as they come out, subscribe to that Patreon. It's going to be linked below. And until then, we'll see you next time. Have a good one.